Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Pages, the podcast where we summarize and analyze some of the most important literary classics in the Western tradition. I'm your host, Sophia Lane, and today we're taking a journey into George Orwell's haunting dystopian masterpiece, 1984, going over the plot and themes and discussing its current significance. So, grab a cup of coffee, get your notebooks to take notes, settle in, and let's dive into the world of Big Brother, thought crime, and doublethink. At its core, 1984 is the story of Winston Smith, a low-ranking member of the party in a totalitarian state called Oceania. The novel is set in the year 1984, where the world is divided into three superstates perpetually at war: Oceania, Eurasia, and Eastasia. Winston lives under the constant surveillance of the party, led by the enigmatic figurehead known as Big Brother. The party controls information, language, and even thoughts through newspeak, a language designed to limit free thought and constant surveillance. Winston's job at the Ministry of Truth is to alter historical records to align with the party's ever-changing narrative. But despite his outward conformity, Winston harbors private doubts about the party and dreams of rebellion. This inner rebellion takes shape when he begins an illicit love affair with Julia, a fellow party member who shares his disdain for the regime. Together, Winston and Julia explore fleeting moments of freedom and intimacy, but their defiance comes at a cost. They're eventually captured by the Thought Police, betrayed by a man named O'Brien who they believe to be an ally, and brought to the horrifyingly named Ministry of Love. O'Brien is one of the most enigmatic and terrifying characters in 1984. At first, he appeared as a potential ally to Winston, someone who seemed to share his disillusionment with the party. Winston believed O'Brien was part of the Brotherhood, the resistance movement. But O'Brien's true allegiance lies with the party, and he becomes the instrument of Winston's undoing. The scenes of torture in the Ministry of Love are some of the most harrowing in literature. They're not just about physical pain, although there's plenty of that, but also about psychological domination. O'Brien systematically dismantles Winston's sense of self, forcing him to accept the party's reality. Through pain and psychological manipulation, O'Brien forces Winston to accept the party's version of truth, even when it defies logic. For instance, Winston is made to believe that 2 + 2 = 5. One of the most chilling aspects is O'Brien's intellect. He's calm, articulate, and almost fatherly in his demeanor, which makes his cruelty even more disturbing. He tells Winston, "We do not merely destroy our enemies, we change them." His goal isn't just to punish Winston, but to break him completely, to make him genuinely love Big Brother. This culminates in Room 101, where Winston is confronted with his worst fear: rats. O'Brien uses Winston's primal terror to force him to betray Julia, the person he loves most. It's the ultimate act of dehumanization, as Winston's spirit is utterly crushed. By the end, he's not just obedient to the party, he truly believes in its ideology. And that's what makes O'Brien such a complex villain. He's not a mindless enforcer. He's deeply committed to the party's philosophy. He sees the torture as a necessary means to maintain order and power. In his eyes, breaking Winston is an act of loyalty to the party's cause. In the end, Winston is broken. His individuality is erased, and his love for Julia is replaced with absolute loyalty to Big Brother. The novel closes on a chilling note as Winston declares his love for the party's leader, signifying his complete surrender. Now, let's talk about the themes that make 1984 such a profound and thought-provoking novel. Number 1. Totalitarianism and oppression. At its heart, 1984 is a critique of totalitarian regimes. Orwell wrote the novel in 1949, drawing on the horrors of Stalinist Russia and Nazi Germany. The party's control over every aspect of life, from history to language to thought itself, illustrates the terrifying potential of unchecked political power. The party doesn't just govern, it seeks to control reality itself. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past, they say. Through this, Orwell shows how history can be manipulated to maintain power and suppress dissent. Number 2. Surveillance and loss of privacy. One of the novel's most enduring images is the omnipresent surveillance of Big Brother. The idea that someone is always watching creates a sense of paranoia and fear. This theme resonates deeply in our modern world, where advancements in technology have made surveillance easier than ever. Think about how often we hear debates about privacy in the digital age. From social media to government surveillance programs, the issues Orwell explored feel chillingly prescient. Number 3. Language and thought control. Orwell's invention of newspeak, a language designed to eliminate subversive thoughts, is a brilliant exploration of how language shapes reality. By reducing the range of thought, the party ensures that rebellion becomes not just dangerous, but impossible. Consider how propaganda and misinformation are used today to shape public opinion. The way Orwell links language, truth, and power reminds us to think critically about the words we consume and use. Number 4. Psychological manipulation. Orwell delves into the psychological tactics used to control individuals. The party's ability to make Winston doubt objective reality, 2 + 2 = 5, is a chilling reminder of how propaganda and coercion can undermine our sense of truth. This theme speaks to the importance of critical thinking and the dangers of groupthink, both of which remain vital in navigating our complex world. So why is 1984 such a landmark in literature? First, it's a warning. Orwell wasn't predicting the future. He was cautioning against the potential abuses of power and the fragility of democratic institutions. His insights into how authoritarian regimes function, by controlling information, rewriting history, and suppressing dissent, remain profoundly relevant. Second, the novel's language and imagery have seeped into our collective consciousness. Terms like Big Brother, Orwellian, doublethink, and thought crime are now part of our everyday vocabulary. They serve as shorthand for the dangers of surveillance, censorship, and propaganda. For these reasons, 1984 is still relevant today. Number 1. Technological surveillance. In an age of ubiquitous technology, the novel's warnings about surveillance feel more urgent than ever. Governments and corporations alike collect massive amounts of data about our lives. Smart devices, social media platforms, and surveillance cameras create a world where privacy often feels like an illusion. Number 2. Misinformation and fake news. The party's manipulation of truth and reality mirrors contemporary concerns about misinformation and fake news. In a world where objective facts are sometimes contested, 1984 challenges us to question authority and seek the truth. Number 3. Erosion of civil liberties. Orwell's exploration of how fear can justify the erosion of rights is particularly relevant in the context of national security debates. How do we balance safety with freedom? The tension between these values remains a central issue in modern politics. Number 4. The struggle for individuality. Winston's story is, at its core, about the human struggle to maintain individuality and free will in the face of oppressive forces. This theme resonates universally, reminding us of the importance of protecting personal freedoms. George Orwell's 1984 is not just a novel, it's a powerful reminder of what's at stake when power goes unchecked and truth becomes malleable. Its themes of surveillance, propaganda, and totalitarianism are as relevant now as they were when Orwell penned the book. As we navigate the challenges of our modern world, 1984 serves as both a cautionary tale and a call to action. It urges us to remain vigilant, to question authority, and to value the freedoms we often take for granted. That's all for today's episode of Beyond the Pages. Thank you for joining me on this journey through George Orwell's 1984. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with your fellow book lovers. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and discussions. Until next time, keep reading, keep questioning, and keep exploring. Bye for now.